If you want to feed your family for less than 10 bucks, guess what? You're in the right place, because I have got a recipe for a homemade prosciutto and cheese pizza with a roasted pumpkin and rocket salad that you are going to absolutely love, and your family will love it too. This is how you make it. You start off with 2/3 of a cup of water, a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of dry active yeast, that's important, and a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to put all of those ingredients into this bowl here. So what you're really doing is you're getting the yeast, the dry active yeast, with a little bit of lukewarm water, and we're going to have the yeast make out with the caster sugar, because the yeast actually needs the sugar to become active. So it goes to work. It's actually the yeast starts to eat the sugar, and you'll see it'll start to foam in it. And once you see that little bit of foaming, you'll know that it's nearly ready to use. So the extra virgin olive oil goes in as well, and then you just give that a little mix. Now, the only thing that's not friends with the yeast is salt. So never put your salt and your yeast in the same bowl. You can do it later on, but you've got to wait for the yeast to become active first. So into a food processor, I'm going to put 1.5 cups of plain flour and a generous pinch of salt. And then once our yeast has become active, we're going to combine them all together. So after just 2 or 3 minutes, depending on the temperature of your water, what will happen is the yeast will go quite foamy. And if you have a look, see that? It almost looks like the head on a beer. So what you want to do is just give that a gentle sort of a mix, and then you bring it over to your dry ingredients. I've got just a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and once you see it form a ball and start to sort of spin around like that, you can then just have a feel. It should be quite tacky. I'm going to give it another little second. Get it out of your mixer. Feel it. If it's quite tacky and a little bit sticky, then just grab just the tiniest little bit of flour and sprinkle over the top. You'll see you'll be able to work with it without it sort of sticking to your hands. You don't need to overwork the dough because it's already done a little bit of work in there. What's going to happen now is it's going to actually prove. It's going to take about 45 minutes and it's going to double in size. So I like to get the cling film and sort of lay it over just like that, and then just sit it in a warm spot somewhere in your kitchen for 45. While our pizza dough is proving, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make this delicious pumpkin salad. So I've got a big piece of pumpkin here. I'm going to cut it into some sort of beautiful wedges. I'm going to roast this in a really hot oven. I've preset it to 280 degrees, which is very hot, because that's how we're going to roast the pizza. You need to have that pizza in a really, really hot oven. Right, so you put your pumpkin in, a little bit of olive oil, just like that, salt and pepper. So, into the oven. Woo-hoo! Nice and hot. It's only going to take 10 or 12 minutes because it's going in at such a high temperature. Okay, while that's cooking, let's make our dressing. So I've got a little bowl here, and I'm going to make a dressing with some Dijon mustard. Good teaspoon of that. A little bit of red wine vinegar. And you just kind of mix those two together using a whisk. You see it'll go nice and creamy. Then I've got some dry thyme, just a teaspoon. And then to emulsify it into a dressing or a vinaigrette, what we're going to do is add a few teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil, whisking the whole time. Lovely. So you get this delicious creamy dressing. It only takes you a minute to make, and it's so much better than that stuff that you buy that's already pre-done. So make it fresh. Oh, delicious. Just a little bit of salt and a quick crack of black pepper. And then your dressing's done. The next thing we're going to do is make the tomato sauce that goes on the base of the pizza. So I've got one of these nifty little food processors. Just a couple of 100 grams of chopped tomatoes, tin tomatoes, and a few cloves of garlic. So put your garlic in, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Go ahead and throw your tomatoes in there as well. Okay, so go ahead and give that tomato and garlic a good old blend, and then add your olive oil How easy was that? You just made a really, really simple, basic pizza sauce. Anything that you put on a pizza, you want to be pretty neutral. A little bit of garlic and that beautiful fresh tomato, that's all you need. So while our pumpkin's in the oven roasting, we can get our pizza dough. It's been about 45 minutes to an hour, and you'll see it's literally doubled in size, which is exactly what you want. Lightly dust your hands, pick up your pizza dough. There's many ways to do this. Okay, you can get a roll-in pin and you can roll it out. What I like to do is just kind of turn it in my hands as if you're turning a steering wheel of your car, okay? And you just keep turning it, and then you let gravity do the work for you. Because of course, as you're holding it from the top there, gravity's pulling it down, and you're just turning it around, which means it's going to keep growing in size, all right? Now, as it gets bigger and bigger, you might want to sort of get your fists in there and hold your fists like that underneath the pizza dough, and then you can sort of just gently toss it around. And if you pick it up, you'll see there's little parts of your dough that start getting thinner than others. You don't want it to get too thin, because if it gets too thin, you could make a little hole, and that's not what you're looking for. Pick your dough up, transfer it over here to this beautiful big rectangle baking sheet, and then just sort of stretch it out to all of the corners like that. Before I assemble my pizza, I'm going to pull the pumpkin out, let it cool down a little bit so our salad's ready to go too. Yum. Just let that cool down. It's going to be a minute or two before we go with it. Grab yourself your tomato sauce that we made. Nice big generous spoon. Right in the middle, and then just sort of work that around to all the edges of your pizza. I'm going to put two types of cheese. I've got some mozzarella. I'm going to use half a cup of that. So just evenly sprinkle that out. And then I've got half a cup of Parmesan that's also been grated. So I'm going to leave it that simple, just the cheese. When it comes out of the oven, I'm going to layer the prosciutto and a little bit of the rocket leaf straight over the top of the pizza, and it's going to be fantastic. In she goes, 280 degrees, and it'll take 5 to 10 minutes. So my pizza's in the oven, it's smelling fantastic in here. I'm going to show you how to finish off the salad. Now, I'm going to just take a small handful of rocket leaves and put them on the side, because I'm going to dress the pizza with that as well. I've got my dressing and my beautiful roasted pumpkin. So just go ahead and toss that roasted pumpkin while it's still warm in with the rocket. Doesn't matter if it wilts the leaves a little bit, that's what you're looking for. Dress it with that homemade vinaigrette. And then get yourself a nice big salad bowl like that. Give it a bit of a toss. And then just go ahead and pour that straight in. I've also got a little bit of Parmesan cheese that I'm just going to finish the salad off with. Looks delicious. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so our salad's ready to go. Ooh, just one more minute and this pizza's going to be ready. It smells so good. Let's have a look. I tell you what, when you pull this out of your oven, you're going to have a happy family. Off the tray, and then how I finish the pizza is just get some prosciutto, and I literally just lie this straight over the top, and the warmth of the pizza is going to just warm that prosciutto up. I've got some rocket leaves as well. I sort of sprinkle those over and around. Just lay that prosciutto all over the top there. Now don't forget to season it, because we didn't season it before, so just a tiny bit of salt, freshly ground black pepper, and just the smallest drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Just like that. So the whole idea of a beautiful homemade pizza is it's nice and crunchy, and you can cut through it into any shape you want, but you need the base. Hear that? You need it to be nice and crunchy underneath. Perfect. I'm not waiting for anyone else. And you have got the most unbelievable dinner. Homemade pizza. I tell you what, your family's going to love it.